Welcome to the Life of Phys Podcast, where creativity, resilience, and movement come together through raw and authentic conversations with artists, athletes, and storytellers. I'm your host, Tyson Martin. Today's guest is Jules Jimreivat, a multi-talented photographer and filmmaker whose life mantra could be summed up as ski, bike, climb, run, rinse, repeat. Whether on the slopes, trails, or cliffs, Jules is drawn to capturing action, sport, and above all, people doing things that push their limits. While commercial and client work demands polished hero shots, Jules thrives on photographing the in-between moments that reveal the deeper story. Her lens constantly evaluates voices and narratives that deserve to be seen, especially the stories of women. Jules' work has been recognized internationally, winning the Female Directors Award at the Rocky Spirit Festival, being shortlisted for the Sony Future Filmmakers Award in Culver City, and earning semi-finalist honors in the Red Bull Illume photo competition. When the gear is packed away, Jules finds balance and simplicity, often with a cold beer in hand, reflecting on the stories told and the adventures still ahead. Now let's get to the show.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jules Jimreivat. Jimreivat is a Thai last name, and I am half Thai and I do not speak Thai, so I actually pronounce my name like a white person, and it's very embarrassing for my grandparents. So people get caught up on pronouncing my name, and I'm like, please don't worry about it. I don't even say it correctly. I grew up on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and have always been very into art and creativity. I wanted to be an artist when I was a kid. I thought I would be a painter. I also, for a time, wanted to be a photographer, and played a lot with my point and shoot camera. So I'm young enough that I did not start shooting on film. I started shooting on very early digital cameras. I'm 30 years old. I was born in 1995. And yeah, had a blast like planning little photo shoots with my neighbors or my cousins, my sister. But eventually kind of outgrew those tools because I didn't have any photo editing software. I didn't have a camera that had an interchangeable lens. So I think I kind of I reached the limit of how creative I could be with those tools, and kind of just, as a kid, petered out and didn't quite have the self-awareness to know it was because the tools were limiting me. And kind of forgot about photography and really being that creative consciously. When I look back, I still was quite creative. I was always making little sculptures or just doing projects, having ideas and making them happen. But when I got into high school age, I decided to pursue science. And so that became my obsession for that period of my young adult life, and went to school in Salt Lake City for biology and chemistry. And took this big other life journey away from being creative, although I still was kind of making things. It's funny to look back on it because I was still finding ways to be creative. I just wasn't acknowledging that part of myself. And became a photographer officially probably 6 years ago. Started freelancing when I had a full-time job for the first time out of college, and picked up a camera with some disposable income that I had for the first time. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like, it just totally clicked back to that like childhood joy that I had from creating. And yeah, it's been a long journey of learning, and completely self-taught. But I am obsessed with my job, and I love to work, and that's my story in a nutshell. I've skipped over a lot of parts of my life for sure, but that's how I found photography. And at that stage, I was shooting the sports that I was surrounded by. I've been a climber since I was a really little kid. I used to climb in the gyms, and I competed. And so I was around a lot of climbing, but outdoor climbing at this time. So shot a lot of climbing. I also shot a lot of mountain biking and skiing, and, you know, the sports and the friends that I was surrounded by. And so that's how I kind of developed my skills and, you know, learned the techniques for shooting action. And then took some breaks. You know, I didn't think right away that it was a viable career. And I actually think that's a big reason that I did not pursue art as a career from when I was a kid, because I knew it was hard. You know, my parents said my parents were very supportive, and actually I could go into a whole tangent about that. I was homeschooled, and I was homeschooled because they wanted to support me being able to do my passions and not be stuck in the public school system where I had to do a lot of things that were a waste of time, which was very cool. And so, you know, I think that background helps me work for myself a lot, because I had to be very self-motivated, and you know, they would say, like, you know, you can do what you want. What do you want to do? And we'll give you the resources to do that. But like, don't sit around and watch TV all day, which is like the easy thing to do, even as an adult. So my parents were very supportive, but they still were honest with me. You know, like, being an artist is really hard. It's not guaranteed that you're gonna like be able to support yourself, and so I think I had that in my head fairly, and that definitely like swayed me to pursue a career that was not in the arts. But when I picked up a camera again, I think I still had that mindset a little bit. I was like, oh, I really like this. Like, maybe I can make a few bucks here and there, but it took a while for me to totally commit to pursuing a career in photography. And I think COVID helped a lot with that, because I wasn't working in 2020, and I had a camera and I was passionate about it. So I was kind of just like leaning in to making things and trying to make some money on the side. And then just kept, I would like get a little job, learn some things, learn how to price myself a little bit better, learn how to deliver a photo set a little bit better to a client. And yeah, it's just been growing from there ever since.
You have some pretty big clients that you've worked for now.
Yeah, I just shot my first campaign for Toyota this year. I've like nailed some dream clients this year, which is really exciting.
Congratulations. I looked at your website before I reached out to you, and I was just like, I was blown away by the work you've put out. It actually, when I first found your site, I looked at it and I was like, man, this must be like, it must be a dream to see like working with Toyota, like you said, or having these big brands reach out to you and be like, hey, let's do this. Or you pitch them and they're like, I'm in. Like, how does that feel after, you know, questioning yourself growing up? Like, well, you know, I might make a few bucks, but now you're doing these big, huge campaigns. And I mean, this Toyota campaign is fantastic. Like,
thank you so much.
So
yeah, I'm really happy with it. There's some more coming out too. I also shot, so right now my Sienna shoot for them is published, and there's another one that's unpublished that I'm excited to share. Nice. I shot the Grand Highlander. But yeah, it feels amazing. It's like one of the best feelings to have other people like your work, and especially have people that art directors and photo editors that that you respect and that, you know, have a great experience and clout in the industry to see you and appreciate what you do. It feels really good. And also those highs are still followed by lows, and that's does not end. I'm newer to the automotive industry, and I've started, looking at more other photographers that I think shoot automotive well, and I've connected with them a little bit on the internet, and it stood out to me. One of them told me that he has not had a ton of work this year because he kind of stopped hustling, and it was a good reminder to him that you always have to keep hustling. And that stood out to me because I view him as a very successful automotive photographer, high caliber commercial photographer, and the hustle does not end. You have to really like to work, and not just shooting photography, but also like the behind the scenes work, which is the majority of the work is like sitting at your computer.
And that's the crazy thing. So I've learned over the last 63 episodes of talking to creatives, everyone has the same thing. If you're not hustling, you won't get work. It's not like because you've done a few really big, amazing things that you instantly are thrown in the pot. Like, okay, we're going to do this. I mean, it happens, but you still have to work. You still have to network. You still have to do the behind the scenes. It's not like it's just handed to you on a platter. Yeah,
no, for sure. And coming back to our topic about gender disparity, I think it's really easy to see your male as a female photographer. It's really easy to see your male counterparts getting a lot of work and feeling jealous and blaming it on the fact that they're a man. And maybe there's some truth to that, but also like they are working their asses off as well, and you cannot just sit back and expect that work's going to come to you. You need to go put yourself out there and get shut down and get back up and keep going. And that's my biggest advice to other photographers is keep going. Especially to women. I want to see more successful female photographers in the industry, especially in my industry, which is adventure sports and action sports skewed. The outdoor industry has even fewer female photographers, and there are even fewer that are successful, fully supporting themselves as photographers. And I really want to see that change. And I had this moment last year where I was like, if I don't do it, who is going to do it? And that has been really, really motivating me to just work my ass off. And I have worked very, very hard this year. And now I'm kind of like facing a new challenge, which is like finding balance. I think I've maybe worked a little bit too hard, and I need to like give myself some more personal time.
But when you get on a roll, I mean, you're on a roll, you're getting clients, you're getting work, you're doing exactly what that dream you gave yourself is there. So you're like, oh, rest and breaks can happen later. I'm just going to keep focused. And you put the hammer down. But learning balance is so important in everybody's life. So learning that balance of work to being able to sit back and relax a little bit, which you can't take your foot off the gas fully, but you can drop it back, a little bit and take some time for yourself and enjoy some personal time before you put the hammer down and secure more jobs that require everything.
I would add to that too, like finding systems that can work in the background without you needing to like fully be present doing those things every day. I have like an application that manages all my social media. So I do still have to make the posts, but I can just like sit down in one day and schedule it all out for however long I want. I usually try to schedule like a full month at a time. LinkedIn, Instagram, email promo, like that stuff should always just be going in the background. And then you should be, focusing more directly on your client outreach and your specific networking or shooting personal projects. So yes, so I'm in kind of a stage now where I'm ready to take like a little bit more of a break, and literally what I'm doing is all these systems so that they're gonna go for like a month or two, and I don't have to worry about my marketing, falling behind.
Yeah, it's important to automate. It's important to preemptively be ready to allow yourself to take that break. It's a good restart and a refresh for yourself. Do you have advice for anybody in how you set yours up? You don't have to give all your secret sauce, but just maybe some ideas for people listening that are struggling with that same thing. They're like, I'm go 24/7 every day of the month. I go, 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 and I don't have a chance to take a breather.
Mm-hmm. I think you need to really sit back and have some quiet time. I've been like experimenting with a little bit more like meditation and presence, to really understand like what are your goals and how can you get there. If your goal is to take more of a break, identify the steps that you need to do to make that become reality. And maybe that's just like, an hour every day I'm gonna go on a run, or maybe it's like I need to go travel a little bit more, whatever. But like identifying and really sitting with yourself and identifying like what is it that you need, and then how are you going to get there. I hope that answers the question. It's such a kind of ethereal question.
One of those things where it's really interesting to see people's process. There's everybody has such a different process on how they deal with all the client base. But when there's somebody who is out there, they're doing it, they have the clients, and they're talking about a break, it's neat to hear the reason or the process that they're going to use to make that break happen. Right? While you're still technically you have your computer working for you while you're taking a break, you can step back and take a breather because you need to take a break. You can't go full gas every day of the year and not burn out.
No, absolutely not. And recently I've been, we talked about how I've been working on my portfolio and building it into more of a commercial style. And I'm really proud of that. And I'm getting commercial clients that I had goal set for myself a year ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago. And I've been dedicating myself so much to that goal that I feel like I've drifted away from the soul of my work, which started in sports and, not necessarily shooting for a client, but just being outside, doing the sports that I love. And then by being in those places and spending time with them, these ideas would come to me. And that's like a very more simple, slow, creative process that I think really feeds my soul and my well-being. And so that's my plan. Hopefully, it is tough because if I got like a new dream client in the middle of this plan that I have to go like live in my car for a month, I would struggle with that decision, right? But that's my plan for the next month or the fall, is to go back and just live in my car, travel around, because that is the ultimate dream that I had for myself when I decided that I wanted to be a photographer. I wanted to be a photographer so that I could climb more. I've checked off a lot of big goals. I wanted to have a home base that I would always come back to. And I just bought my first home. I wanted to like have financial security so that I knew when I ended my climbing trip, I wasn't going to be like broke. And I have that now. And that's something else we could talk about too, like freelancing. I have a high yield savings account that I've put enough money to pay myself for 6 months to a year. And I payroll myself because I'm an S Corp now, which is a good idea if you make over a certain amount of money. So I have enough money to payroll myself for 6 months to a year. I don't have to worry if jobs go dry. which also is really important for your well-being as a freelancer, that you have a pile of cash that you can sit back on and not be stressed about paying your bills.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I've talked to many creatives about that, and about, I would love to do this for myself full time, get sponsored, have sponsorships that pay ad revenue, and they allow me to pay my bills. But man, when you got kids and you got a mortgage and you got car payments and you got life expenses, it's a scary thought. So I've given myself, another year of work before I figure it out and just go for it, because, I'm not getting any younger, and it's time that I believe in myself enough that I can make something happen.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a full-time job, or
I do,
a part-time job?
Full-time. So I do.
Wow.
Full-time. I help people build their off-road vehicle dreams.
Oh, very cool.
And I leave that and I come home and I find people for the podcast, and then I try to schedule it all. And
that's a lot of work. I'm really interested in this off-roading side of your life.
It's been my life for 30 years.
What do you drive?
Currently,
do you have a rig?
I will in the next year. I'm going to build myself a 4-wheel drive Sprinter.
Nice.
But currently I drive a 2006 Jetta with 450,000 miles on it. The diesel just keeps running.
Trusty. Oh yeah, those are great. We have a Volkswagen Golf, the TDI. That's also a very high mileage, but like great gas mileage.
You can't go wrong with the TDI. Mine's been fantastic. I've had pretty much any Toyota, any Jeep product in my lifespan. I love just being in the middle of nowhere. So my ultimate goal is to build this van around the show, and do, thanks to things like Starlink, be able to be in the mountains on a lake with that as my background, doing a show from my van, and then change locations for every episode and just travel I miss the Oregon coast. I miss growing up on the Oregon coast. So like, I want to be down there for 2 or 3 months at a time. I'm a dual citizen, so I have zero issues. I can work and live in the US legally. No issues there. But there's something about Canada. The west coast of Canada is incredible.
Oh, it really is. Yeah, I'm hoping to come up there in October maybe to climb in Squamish. So.
Oh, nice.
And I also love Overland. I drive a 2007 Toyota Tacoma named Stella. She's a TRD.
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh my gosh, your dog's name?
Well, she passed away a couple years ago, but she was my ride or die. So
it's a really good dog name and truck name. So Stella is my ride or die as well. And I'm really trying to go on an adventure with her again soon. And yeah, just disconnect.
Yeah, if you make it up this way, I mean, we do.
Oh yeah, I would love to connect with you more about that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's my everyday. I help people build their dreams. And that is the coolest. It's really not a job. Like, I go to work and I have a passion for it, and I get to talk to people about it. And I've met amazing people that are, we've outfitted other photographers' vehicles. We've done all sorts of really cool things that have given me all the ideas I have for my future van. And it's kind of like, okay, cool. I see that this is doable. Like, this is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. And then you get to go and enjoy them on the weekend. So for me, it's about finding balance, right? Like you're saying, I'm so busy with work, kids, trying to keep my business going, trying to, like, I shot a wedding a few weeks ago, and I don't shoot weddings. I did it for a favor, and trying to deliver those photos was the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh yeah.
So I shoot landscape. I love landscape. I love street.
Oh yeah. And you probably don't take quite as many photos shooting landscape than shooting a wedding. It's a lot to go through.
I did 2,000 photos at this wedding, and my
Yeah.
camera
Oh,
before that.
I will tell you, that's nothing. I will easily shoot 10,000 photos a day on a commercial shoot.
Wow.
Easily. Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. My camera that I used prior to that, I think only had 1500 on the shutter. So it
Yeah.
was like,
And it's
wow.
a very different experience, going out and like taking your time, taking one photo at a time versus like, yeah, the action and the lifestyle that I shoot, like the split second is very important.
Yeah.
And so I am like spraying the shutter, like, going because yeah, the right like water splash and facial expression and yeah, which I love shooting that way, but I'm excited to go kind of, yeah, slow down with my photography as well.
Yeah. So when you picked up a camera, like, did you have the goal of shooting, like, was commercial work, like, was that really like your idea, or were you just like, I'm going to shoot my friends and enjoy my life, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I could shoot that, and then you just went for it?
No, yeah, it was not my idea to shoot commercially. Well, I mean, maybe subconsciously it was because like who wouldn't want to support themselves doing something that they love? But no, I picked up my camera and I was still working my full-time job at this time as a chemist. Bought my first interchangeable lens camera and was just having a blast taking photos. Like I love making things that I like, that are nice to look at. And that was the goal really. I just wanted to make stuff. um and then I was mostly shooting basically hero shots, cover shots. Like I just wanted to take the coolest, most badass photo that had like usually pretty landscape, pretty light little person doing some sport, jumping on a bike or, doing a crazy climbing move. And that was it for a couple of years, probably. I was just like having a blast doing that and then slowly kind of like got some recognition through Instagram and like, brands kind of started reaching out asking for like quote unquote photography work because it's not quite commercial work. I would say it was more like influencer work, which like totally no shade on that. It was so great. I was making money shooting for Instagram. And then, as I started making money with photography, I started kind of like having this little spark like, like where can I go with this? And like, how do I grow this? And I am always, it's really important to me to kind of always be expanding my worldview. And I think whatever I'm doing, I'm usually trying to like try something new or make it better. Like, how do I push this further? And so that kind of naturally happened with photography. And then I started learning more about like what is commercial photography and like what's important in like client work and production. And podcasts were really great for me in learning how to do that. Having peers that shoot, which I was lucky enough that I knew a lot of photographers from my time kind of dabbling with being an athlete as a climber and living in Salt Lake City, which is like a big hub for outdoor creative industry. So I had a lot of people I could reach out to and like ask for advice. And yeah, it was definitely a slow burn towards commercial work, which I also think is really important for a freelance career in general, is to, let it go slowly and expect that it's going to grow slowly. Because you need that experience and slow grind, like nothing happens overnight. And I have, even bigger goals now that I'm working towards. So I'm very excited about that are like 10-year goals.
I appreciate you like kind of breaking it down as, no, I was doing this And then I started to get some attention over here that led me to be like, okay, well, I can see myself going to this direction. That there's no actual roadmap to what we're doing. You found something that worked for you, and you just kind of kept growing from it. And I mean, you've worked with Toyota, you've worked with, I'm just reading the brand work, the companies you've worked with. I mean, that's super impressive. And then, there's so many people who think that you have to start at the top. They want the top job, and they're not going to take anything below that because that's below them. I'm the best. I deserve to be here. It's all done in steps. You have to make those steps. That's how you learn. That's how you make mistakes and you fix them instead of being thrown in the spotlight and having to struggle not knowing what you're actually doing.
Totally. And I mean, sometimes that might happen still. And yeah, it could be a struggle, and you got to be prepared to take those as learning experiences because, there's a lot of ups and downs. And, but yeah, having the right people around you is also really important. And I had a point I was going to make, but I lost my thought.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So you being a woman in the photography industry is, from what I'm learning, it's always a struggle. You guys are always fighting for position, right? You're fighting to be recognized, which is so not deserved because your work is phenomenal. You shouldn't have to fight that male domination kind of thing that I've heard from a few people I've had on just before you. What's your advice to try to stay positive while you're building your career, and how you stuck to your guns to make it happen? Asking mainly for my daughter so she knows.
Yeah. Well, I want to back up a little bit. The creative industry is definitely male dominated. And I think the biggest challenge, the biggest umbrella of challenges over the issue is just not having many successful women to look up to work under, to get those experiences assisting or getting on bigger productions. And that's definitely a roadblock. And I think you have to be ready to work really hard, right? And I am up for that challenge. I would love to be that person that people can look to and say, look, she's doing it. She's, supporting herself. She's landing these huge clients. She's consistently busy. I really want that, and I'm willing to do the work. And so that's honestly how I cope with it. And how cool is it to achieve those things despite the setbacks? That's way more badass to me if you have a kid, or if you live in a location that doesn't have a lot of production. That's more impressive to me than being in the right place at the right time. And so I'm not sure it's the most inspirational, but that is how I cope. Is I love to work, and I'm willing to work, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm sorry, it's not the most soothing answer.
So the cool part, I have a daughter your age, which is crazy for me to say, but I do. And she was actually the one who got me into shooting photos. I've only been doing this for shooting photos for 6 years or 7 years now. And I hear your story and that passion that you're sharing, just you can hear it in the way you're speaking, and that motivates me. So I'm watching what you're doing, and I might be, I don't know how to even word it. I might be someone who's different, but as a dad who has 3 daughters, I just want to see them do the best work that they do and inspire people with their work. I don't want it to be a male, female kind of competition. If it's the best person for the job, that's who should be doing the job. So when I came out to this is transition for me into season 2 of the show. I really wanted to put the female creative at the forefront because I feel like it's so important. It's so important for girls to hear now that yeah, there's people out there that are doing exactly what you want to do, that are willing to help. Like, fire them a message, ask them a question, because that's how we all grow in this industry. I mean, we can't do it on our own. We have to have that help and that advice. So I fully get what you're saying. And like, I look at your work and I'm like, that's super sick. I don't look at it as you being a woman and me being a man. I look at it as a very talented, creative person. And that gives me inspiration to keep pushing until I can reach this level. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I know there's a lot of struggles being a woman in this industry, and I don't really want to bring up all the time that thing, but it's important that people understand what it takes. You know, you kind of have to be willing to accept the ups and downs to move forward, the negatives to the positives. I mean, I've heard some just recently when I've started this new season, putting female creatives at the forefront of the show, that have actually blown my mind that they've had to deal with it. Do you have any advice for the new up and coming women that really want to be in this industry, but they hear all the negative and they're scared to take that jump?
Yeah. Be ready for things to be uncomfortable sometimes, you know, and find ways to have tough skin. Like, I think you have to be confident enough in your own work that you know it's good, that you can shrug off somebody having critiques of it, you know, and I mean, not even shrug off, but like, you know, hear it and then take what you need from it. Because sometimes I think feedback is great, and like I love people that will critique my work and say how it could be better. I actually really like that, but you need to have a thick skin, and you need to be confident that your work is good, in order to get there, because you're gonna get a lot of feedback. And you mentioned earlier, like the best person for the job should get the job, and
Yeah.
I think there are so many people that are the right person for the job. You have to put yourself in the position where you are set up to be the one. So you need to be networking with the right people and staying present on the internet, and like you need to be marketing yourself, because just having good photography is not enough. You need to be running a business, and you need to be ready to do that. So go learn how to run a business, get a CPA, look into personal marketing. How are successful photographers marketing themselves? How are they staying top of mind with their clients? Because it's not enough to have good work. That's the first step. And I love that hustle. So figure out ways to enjoy that hustle. For me, it's you know, getting the chance to shoot my own work that's either like portfolio work that is more commercial looking, or personal work that's like my soul of climbing and skiing cover photos. I love to do that. And it's also really important that I'm constantly making new work that I can use to market myself.
That's great advice. I'm going to take a lot of that in personally, because that's where I'm at. That's where I'm struggling currently. Is I'm at that point where I've had amazing people on my show. I've had amazing conversations, but I'm at the turning point where I need to figure out how to market the show better to uplift myself in the field that I want to work in. You know, it's kind of like I'm sitting there going at night, I'm so tired. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read this and learn how to do it. But then I'm like, get halfway through and I'm dozing off because I have so much going on throughout the day, but I need to make it a priority.
Yeah. And I've been experimenting with time blocking recently, which is basically just like making your own schedule throughout the day. And I don't have another job, so there's not a lot to block around, but I do need to prioritize like my physical health. So like exercising during the day. It's really important to me that I'm eating well. So like giving myself the time to cook fresh food. And then also like I have a huge to-do list for my business. So time blocking, you know, the to-do list is very important as well.
I actually like that you said that when you talk about it as your business and that you're blocking time, and there's a lot of behind the scenes work. Because I think a lot of people who get into it, they think, oh, okay, I got some recognition on social media, I'm on my way, but they don't understand that you have to run it like a business.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have, your business has to be in line to make it successful. Because you could get some recognition on your Instagram and you could get a couple clients that way or make a little bit of money. But what happens at tax time? What happens at, all these other things that happen behind the scenes?
What happens if you need to make an insurance claim? You need to be prepared for those things, because things can go really wrong and there's oftentimes a lot of money on the line. So yeah, thinking about the worst case scenario is very important.
You said 6 years, right? You've been actively out. This has been this is your full-time job.
Yep. Yeah. Been working for myself for about 6 years. I also do a little bit of modeling on the side. I have an agency. And that's a really fun way for me to meet new people and get on different productions and different sets that I wouldn't be on otherwise. And also to see how other photographers work. For me, that's through modeling. I love assisting as well, but it kind of like we talked about, it's a little bit harder to find people that will hire you as an assist with no experience, especially when there's not a lot of other women you can look up to and ask for that support. And so for me, that route has been through modeling to get to see how other photographers work. And that's been a really important step in my career as well, a really important experience.
Just absorbing the information that you're watching happening around you while you're on the other side of the camera.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be on the other side of the camera, but being present on different sets where you're not the lead photographer, and seeing how does the photographer manage the client on set? How do they talk to their crew? What is the crew doing and how are they set up for success? Or seeing things go wrong and then kind of understanding how to avoid those things when it's your own production. That is really important, and getting on those productions. And I think that's where women face the biggest challenge of getting those experiences.
Oh, I can see that for sure, because I don't work commercial, so I can only imagine there is a million things that could go wrong as that scene is being set up, light problems, like camera issues.
Yeah.
I would lose my marbles. So you do a ton of climbing. Sounds like climbing was your big passion, or is your passion. That seems to be the one that you love to do. But I noticed you shoot a lot of mountain biking, motocross, things like that.
Yeah.
What drew you to the outdoors? Was it where you grew up?
I grew up in DC, deep city, not a lot of ways to go get out into empty spaces. And I think I craved that from a really young age. And it probably had a lot to do with the fact that I was absorbing climbing media, in the magazines at that time, of these beautiful places. And so when it came time for me to go to college, I knew I wanted to go west and go to school somewhere that I could climb outside consistently. And that's how I landed in Salt Lake City.
And then now you've moved over to the complete West Coast.
Yes, and I keep going smaller town further west.
Yeah, nothing wrong with small town living.
Yeah, I love it. There's a lot of ego in the industry that we work in, which is important. I think I've kind of been saying you need to have a level of ego to be able to put up with people not liking what you make. And so it's important for me to be able to kind of get away from that ego. And the small town is the perfect place for that. Strangers make eye contact with me. They say hi, they ask about my day. and that's really important for my well-being.
It's definitely different going from small town vibes to big city vibes. You don't get the same, you usually don't even get eye contact. That's the biggest difference. No one says hello. I get looked at weird because when I walk down the street, I say hello to everyone. Like it's just, I grew up in a small town.
I know. And isn't that
Portland.
funny that like stands out in certain places and in other places it's totally normal?
Yeah, exactly. I love the fact that you keep going smaller in where you live. It's a nice break from everything else that you're dealing with, right? You don't have the same, if you're in a big major city, there is so much happening constantly, being drawn in so many different directions. It's probably pretty hard to relax.
Yeah, it is. And that's something that I've learned about myself is like, it's really easy for me to get wrapped up in that rat race if I'm surrounded by it. And I can do my own thing separate from it and still, be part of it when I want to be and when the jobs happen. So yeah, that is a really big thing for my mental health that I've learned about myself.
So I know that you want to talk about what it's like and what your experience has been or in the industry, because everybody has some struggles when they get started, but from a female perspective, what's the industry like for you? Like, or maybe break it down from when you started, how it was and how nerve-wracking it could become.
I actually, and no disrespect to you at all, I'm like loving this conversation and what you're doing, but I really don't like that question.
Okay.
That women or marginalized groups have to answer for their specific experience as a woman or as a person of color, because men are never asked that question.
Yeah, no,
and
I'm
you could
learning.
just ask the question. Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, and if you want to keep asking that question, like totally do it. I'm sharing my opinion.
For sure. No, I appreciate it.
You could just ask, about my experience as a photographer. You don't need to like frame it as a woman, because anybody listening should know that I'm a woman.
This is amazing because I'm trying to keep it very straight lined and I'm not sure, I'm still learning how to word it. You know what I mean?
Totally. And like I said, if you want to keep asking that question, you totally should.
No, I want proper advice.
Other people, yeah, I mean, and that's my advice, but other people are going to have different opinions about it too. Like, I'm sure there's other people that would love to answer that question. But yeah, how can we reframe that question for me?
Yeah, let's figure that out. But this is amazing advice for me, because I want to be as respectful as I can be, and I'm still, because this is a new avenue for me, trying to bring female creatives to the forefront and lift them up. But I don't want to do it in a way that's not respectful. So if you have advice, I love that, because I'm here to learn.
Yeah, I think just bringing them on your show and like making an effort to like have parity in the people that you interview, that's the best thing that you can do, and then they're there sharing their experiences, and that's what's important.
Instead of always going back to using the female and this, just talk to them in a straight line, like I would talk to my kid, right? Like my daughter. I don't say because totally. You're a woman photographer. I say because you're a photographer, what is your process? Okay. Yeah. I appreciate that. Totally. I'm very much here to learn. So I don't want it to come across in any way of disrespect, because I don't disrespect anybody. But yes, thank you.
I don't feel disrespected by you at all.
Awesome. Amazing.
And like I said, I have a pretty tough skin. But yeah, like I think it kind of can hang over us, like being a woman and feeling like you might not have the same opportunities. And so like when all the questions are framed that way, I think it just keeps hanging over us. And like I've been in dark places where I've felt like oh, like I'm not getting this job because I'm a woman. And like, I don't think that's necessarily true. Now that I've come out of that place and been able to process it, like I think I wasn't positioned in the right way. And do women need to position themselves differently potentially sometimes? Like, yeah, there's probably different routes and different strategies. There definitely are. I can't say that I know what they are, but the experience is a different one depending on how you identify. And I just don't like to get bogged down by being in the mindset that like because of these things that I can't control is why I'm having these experiences, you know? Like I like to look at every situation, even if I do think there's some sexism involved in something that happens to me, as, you know, how can I change what I do or the way that I work so that it's better for me? And I think that is the healthiest way to think about it, because if you're coming at any situation with a level of animosity or hate or like expecting that you're going to experience something in a negative way, like people will feel that and you're not going to have the same, you might not get the job, you know, even over email, people can tell when you're having negative thoughts about something. And you do need to like be really clear and show that you're excited and you want what they're offering. And so, yeah, I think I'm kind of going in circles now, but I really try to stay away from like getting bogged down by the gender issue.
Perfect. No, I appreciate that advice. I appreciate the way you worded it. I appreciate your openness for correcting me. I'm here to learn as well. I'm here to understand that should be a platform that should be equal, and gender shouldn't even really be a determination. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Maybe I can answer a question about like how I'm landing my dream clients. It has a lot to do with you know who you know, and kind of latching on to any people that you meet or you know brush shoulders with and staying in contact with them. But also you can reach your dream clients with cold emails and being present. And it's important to, like I said, like be consistently present on the internet so that they recognize your name and your work. But yeah, I was cross paths with an art director that I thought was really cool that worked for a brand that I really liked. And I just stayed in contact with her, sent her emails every once in a while, not salesy, just like, hey, like this made me think of you. Like this is relevant to the work that you're doing, you know, and stayed really present on social media. And then slowly over time started telling her that she was a dream client of mine, you know? And I think it took like 3 years of doing that before I like landed the job. And that's what it takes is consistency and keep going. Just keep going. And sometimes maybe you'll need to like go get another job or like wait tables, but like don't stop working on your own business because that can happen on the side.
That's such good advice. It's so good. You can be kind to people and just talk. And then when the time's right, you just kind of were like, hey, how can I land you as my client? I like that advice. I'd never even thought of trying to
stay in touch with people. Yeah. You're running a people business, you know, like you're working in sales and making those connections and showing them that you care about them as people. That's the key. And then, you also have to have good work on top of that.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? You can't have mediocre work, but great people skills. It's not going to work because brands want to see the best of the best to promote their product. Mm-hmm. That's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. So when you, I'm being very careful with my questions now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want you to feel like you're walking on eggshells.
No. It's just I'm learning, and it's all a new experience for me. So my brain's like, okay. So then I'm just processing, because in reality, it's about your skill and your art and your passion for the project. It's not about your gender, right? So that shouldn't really make a difference. So you like to rock climb. You've been doing that. You moved to Salt Lake so you could do that. you shoot mountain biking. Have you ever shot any major mountain bike events or anything?
I just shot the Sturdy Dirty Enduro, which is a traveling bike race. I shot that for Juliana in Santa Cruz. And that was my
sick.
first bike event. So yeah, it was exciting because it was new. There's definitely a lot of different strategies for shooting event versus, shooting just with an athlete where you can like ask them to run again, or, let's try this. Let's be here at this specific time. Like I gave up a lot of control to shoot that event, which was really exciting, to be expanding my skill set and trying new things. And that continues to be something that's really important for me to stay motivated with my work, is like putting myself in outside of my comfort zone and trying stuff that I haven't done before. But that's the only bike event that I've shot, and that was just like a few months ago.
That's super cool. I love Juliana Furtado. I grew up watching her race, and Santa Cruz was always one of the skateboard brands that I always skated back in the day. And then watching them move into mountain bikes, I rode their bikes, and then watching them have Juliana Furtado have her own line with them. I know. So and like, cool. What a baddie. And the archive images of her like riding those first bikes are really, really cool. When she was on GT. Yeah, it was it was amazing to watch her dominate the field the way she did in all the old Norba and Grundig races. And it would be like, it's kind of like Saturday morning cartoons, but it would be like Saturday afternoon bike races on the sports channel up here in Canada. So we'd like pause everything we're doing to watch the races. And she was just, and still is to this day, she's just a badass. And it's so
totally
so good to watch. I've got a few other, I have a bike channel as well. It's called Ride Bikes Get Rad that I'm really starting to kind of push.
Like a social channel?
It'll be it's a podcast as well.
Oh, cool.
So it'll be a lot more bike related gear. I spent a whole bunch of years in the bike industry.
Yeah.
So from 89, I started riding mountain bikes on the North Shore of Vancouver. So a long time, but it's just so cool to see how all these brands are still going and still progressing. And I remember when they started. So where like Santa Cruz came out, and then they announced the Juliana line, and my one of the guests I just had on, she rides a Juliana as well, and she's just like, it's the best bike I've ever ridden.
I love my Juliana. And isn't it cool to see brand progression like that? Like that's another thing that is really interesting to me, and I think also important for running a commercial photography business is like understanding the art direction and the creative direction and the decisions that brands are making and why, and understanding trends. And it's very interesting, and I feel like it's a really interesting time right now in outdoor sports and media, and I'm excited to look back on this time period with some like knowledge, in hindsight.
So I worked for Giant Bicycles for a few years with their retail stores, so their Giant branded stores. And it was the first store I worked in where it was actually not just a women's section and a men's section, but the whole store was designed in different ways. So it had like a split line. So it had like this really comforting, like it was crazy. I couldn't understand it at first why they did it. And then I noticed we got a lot of women who are very cautious because they're just getting started in cycling, but they walked in and they looked and they just got really comfortable in that space. So the way they designed it brought them at ease, and it was such a cool experience going from your traditional store that is everything just kind of thrown in there, dirty, gritty, to this store where they actually sat down and really thought about the process of separation, for comfort level. So I worked with
a shopping experience.
Yeah. And it was neat because like you could see them come in and they'd look and, you could see the relaxation. And then I'm not a pushy person. So I was always just like super cool. Like we would have a good time talking about bikes and seeing what they wanted. And I started to learn the process from Giant about why, because it was such a cool experience to have that separation enough that broke the ice when they walked in the door, instead of walking into a standard bike shop where they're like, I don't know what's going on here, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It was neat. It was like,
yeah, I really enjoy, I was just at the mall, which I like never go to the mall anymore. But I was there to run an errand, and I really enjoy going through the stores and like looking at the photography and looking at the way they're displaying, because that's where my photography ends up. And so it's really great market research, just going and seeing like what type of photos are they picking and which ones are they displaying really big and which ones are small. And I really enjoy going into these very commercial spaces now and like seeing how it's designed.
I love the fact that you have that commercial side. It's something I always walk through the mall and I look at those photos and I'm like, how the heck would somebody get into this? You know, like I work for individual people, so I don't ever have commercial clients, and it's something I would love to do eventually, but I stop and I look at a photo and I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. I know I can, but how did that person get there? You know, and you have all these steps, because there's steps to everything. And I like you, I like to look window displays. I stop and look, think in my head how I would have shot it different, or how, if I really like it, how did they shoot it? And I just find that it motivates me to continue doing what I'm doing. But commercial side scares me. Like I couldn't even imagine. It's just not.
It's totally different. It's a totally different thing. And I think that was a turning point in my career as well. Like when I realized how different it was than the type of stuff I was shooting, the way I was shooting, that helped me a lot to grow my portfolio now and into what it is today. But sometimes I feel bummed because I'm not like just making all the stuff that I'm like the most passionate about all the time. Because I mean, I'm lucky enough that I get to work on jobs with creative directors and art directors that I think do like really cool work, that they support me in making stuff that's really awesome. But sometimes I am just kind of doing a job because it's a job, and it might not be as creatively inspiring. And I think a great way that I have to cope with that is like I have other outlets that aren't photography that are creative to me. I really like painting, and I like to kind of like keep some other things that like can fill my creative cup when photography is maybe feeling more like a job.
I do the same. That's why I still work in the auto industry, and I love to hear a person's idea for their build, and then I love to put it together, you know, lay it out in that invoice for them, exactly what they're looking for, add some advice from, you know, my experience, and then see them light up and just be so ecstatic that their dream is going to come to reality. You know, I don't do any photography or anything for the business. It's strictly my job. I help other people build their dreams. And then after work and weekends is when my camera and my creative outlet is for me.
Yeah.
Trying to keep it separate. We do an annual shop trip where we're up in the Chilcotin Mountains, and I always shoot photos. And then I'm like, I just want to enjoy this time, but it's so beautiful. I have to have the camera with.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. Sometimes I don't want to bring my camera for a personal trip where I know there's going to be incredible photos, but sometimes I'm like, I just need to leave this at home so that I can have like a regular experience with this place.
Yeah, I connect with that so well, because as a photographer, as a creative, we always want to capture a moment, because it could be a moment that is an absolutely amazing time of our day. We want to share with people, but sometimes we need to put it away. It's like when you turn off the TV, or you I grab my bike. I just bought an e-bike last year, and I just grab it and just
Nice. Congrats.
I just go for a rip, and no camera, no ulterior motive. I'm just out pedaling. I live on basically on a trail system, so it's right like a block away from us. It goes by
Amazing.
a pond on a river. It's pretty cool. There's bear, there's deer, there's everything right here, and it's so refreshing to know, like, oh wait, there's bear and there's wildlife right here, but I go a block the other direction, I'm in the middle of the city. You know, and you do that without a camera. You don't think about taking photos, but you need to have outlets that help you recharge without constantly being, okay, I got to take a photo and thinking about that. You need to recharge yourself constantly. You know, like
Definitely.
you want to climb for yourself. That's the most important, right? Getting out and spending that time with you to recharge your batteries, to be creative and do your job more. We all have to have a break.
And I always say, like, I think that creatives really need a lot of time where they're sitting around, like, not creating and, like, maybe not doing much. My partner makes fun of me because, like, sometimes I'm pretty lazy and I'm not really working, like, not really, like, exercising. I'm just kind of, like, sitting around. But I do think, like, I'm thinking a lot, and I'm, like, maybe reading. I really like reading. I love books. I'm trying to look at more photo books now instead of, like, looking at screens. But also I'm now experimenting with meditation a little bit more, where I'm literally just trying to clear my mind. And I think that is super important for creativity, is like having those quiet experiences.
Yeah, I agree. I struggle with, I feel like if I don't have my camera with me, I'm going to miss something. So when I can leave the house without it, it's great. But, you know, it seems to always find its way back to being with me 24/7. And I don't ever give myself a break from it.
But, you know, I think some of my best photos at Smith Rock, which have, like, incredible light, they're like a lot of pillars, basically. So the light casts all these gorgeous shadows on the rocks. And my best photos are ones that I was just out there without a camera and I saw it happening, and I, like, wrote down, like, this date, this time, this route, you know, and I have a journal full of, like, notes like that. They came from just being out in this place and, like, and seeing things and not needing to, like, take the photo right at that moment. You know, like, you can have ideas and sit on them and come back to them in a year or two, or, you know, any amount of time.
And that's something I've been trying to push myself this year. I had a health scare at the end of last year. And when I came out of that, I was like, man, I got more time behind me than I have left ahead of me. And I really need to slow down. I was pushing myself between work and home and photography and the podcast, and there was no time for sleep. I was tired all the time. My body was wore out, and it caught me, and I was in the hospital for 4 months. So 4 months, 4 weeks.
4 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, it was horrible. And it really put life in perspective. And I haven't really spent a ton of time with the camera this year, which has been weird because it was my go-to for everything. I've just been trying to, like, I just rebuilt the deck on the back of my house. Absolutely loved it. It was different. It wasn't photography related. I was still being creative, but it gave me the same satisfaction as shooting photos to finish the deck. And it was kind of like, okay, there's other things that can help me. And maybe I just need to take a creative break because I'm so burnt out on shooting my community. I shoot a lot where I live that I just, I'm going to step back and I'm going to just enjoy life a little bit and try to figure out what I need in my life to make my life go in the direction I'm looking for. And that was
totally.
It's been nice. I shot a wedding, and that was interesting because I hadn't actually picked my camera up in months before that. So I just kind of, I winged it, but it was up in, at Tyax Lodge, and it's in this beautiful, huge log cabin lodge that's right on a lake, and they got married on the dock, and it was like the ideal perfect setting. So it was cool to do that. And then I came home and I put the camera down again, and I'm focusing on the show for a bit, and then I'll pick it up again once the weather changes and we start getting some of the the real gnarly clouds and the landscapes really start to pop.
Oh yeah, moody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's neat to hear like how you have the same philosophy that you're like, okay, I need to step back a bit. I don't always need a camera, but I've never thought about keeping a journal. I like that.
Yeah, keep a journal of ideas, or like honestly, I really like a voice memo because I can just like have an idea and kind of like say some things like randomly and come back to it later. But like, yeah, giving yourself the space to have ideas is really important. And when you're like executing ideas all the time, you kind of like run out of the fuel to have new ideas.
I just want to say I really appreciated you correcting me in that aspect of constantly trying to put it in the female perspective. I appreciated that. And that's something that I'm going to learn from. And it's great because now it's a learning process. So I'm learning how to just approach as a creative, not trying to separate, that fine line that's already being battled. Is that the right way to word that?
Sure. I think like you're doing a great thing just by like trying to achieve parity within your podcast.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you need to do. And then, you can let the conversation, go the way go the way it will.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you giving me the time. I'm honored to have you on the show. It's always a great thing when I can see people who are so passionate about what they do. But then when you explain it and you're like, hey, I'm ready to take a break and I do this and I automate all that, that's the stuff that no one talks about. Most of the people on are talking about the projects they're doing or where they're going and what they're doing, but they don't give that little tidbit like, hey, I've been working really, really hard and I'm going to take a break, but I still have my whole thing automated. So stuff's still going to be happening. I'm going to still stay current, but I can step back, do some things I enjoy, and that's only going to make me more creative when I come back.
Yep.
That was cool. It all was clicking in my head as you were saying it. I'm like, oh, you mean you can not do something and be more creative? Okay, I get it.
Totally. And I mean, I will say I'm like in a very good position because I don't have kids and, this is my only job. So I totally recognize that it's harder for a lot of people to like be able to step back like that. And it's been a dream of mine to be in this position. So I have built this for myself.
That's incredible because, I didn't get into photography till late in life. I have between my kids and my stepkids, I have 6 in total that I'm responsible for. And most of them are grown. There's one still in school. The rest of all are in university or graduated or moved on with their lives. So I'm at a weird crossroads. I'm at that time where only one of them really needs me around. The rest of them are living their life and they'll come to dad when they need something or they have a question. And I've been a dad since I was 20 years old. And so I'm trying to navigate life now without that responsibility. And it kind of sucks because I really liked when my kids needed me.
Yeah.
but like now I have freedom, I have time, and I'm chasing the passions that I have and the goals that I've set forth. And sharing story with yourself and all the other creatives, I take what you're saying and I listen to it and I'm like, okay, that's really important. And it goes in my bank of stuff that I need to work on for myself. So I appreciate these conversations. I appreciate your time today. I think this has been, it's been spectacular because it's really hard as myself to reach out to, just from what my daughter's dealt with online and stuff. Like, I'm like, I even asked her, I'm like, how do I reach out to them? And like, all I want is an interview and to hear their process. But they get so much insane, crazy messages. How do I make this sound? So I wrote my email and I sent it to my daughter, and I'm like, how does this sound? Because like, all I want is to hear your story, meet you as the person that you are and the job you're doing, because it's important. I don't want to come across in any way as disrespectful. So I was like super nervous about it, because society is kind of strange right now.
Totally. No, I don't think, I think that just the fact that you're aware of that is enough. You know, like, your email was great. And I'm like I said, I'm always really happy to talk about my work, because it's really important to be able to talk about your work. And so this has been a great experience flexing that muscle.
I'm happy because I've got a lot of interviews coming up, and I've learned some things today thanks to you, and I appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to strive and grow from this experience. And I wish you nothing but continued success. Your portfolio is phenomenal. I think you have a lot of amazing things happening, and you could be a very influential person for a lot of photographers, a lot of creatives in general. You have any final words you want to share, things that you want to talk about before we close up?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. It's Jules Jimreivat. And yeah, look at my portfolio. Don't just look at my Instagram, please. Instagram is not the way I would love my work to be seen. So
your portfolio is incredible. I will have I'll link your LinkedIn, and I'll link your website, and your socials in the notes for the episode. I'm excited for your work. It's pretty recent that I found you and followed you, but I love how you shoot. So I'm excited to see what you have in the pipeline and see what you come out with. And I want you to just know that I appreciated your advice today. It meant a lot to me, because it's important. Good. It's important that I'm approaching the scene and the conversation in the proper manner, and that's a learning lesson for me. So again, I really, really value what you said.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I really appreciate you as well. And this has been a great conversation. Yeah,
thank you so much. Any projects coming up that you want to talk about real quick before we call her a day?
Yeah, I'm gonna go off in my car and drive around and climb and take a bunch of banger climbing images.
Amazing. And you said you're coming up this way. So if you ever have any questions, or if you have any truck problems, you know who to call.
Yes, I do.
We'll get you taken care of.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, again, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're busy, and I'm sorry I couldn't make the date work for tomorrow.
Oh, that's okay. So I tried to reschedule because I was trying to go climbing.
I'm sorry.
And I'm just going to climb. It's okay. I'm going to climb tomorrow.
Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Phys Podcast. I hope today's conversation brought you insight, inspiration, or just a fresh perspective on the creative journey. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. For updates, behind-the-scene content, and more, please follow us on all social medias at LIFE_OF_PHYS. And don't forget to check out the show notes for links and resources from today's episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep living the life of creativity.